Hi there, this is Dawn Hutchins with Veggie Cooking, and I am going to show you how to make my Mexican collard burritos made with walnuts as the protein source. And I'll tell you a little bit more about walnuts as we go along, but this is going to be a raw recipe. It's totally plant-based, and it's really good if you want to make a quick but filling meal that's really healthy. It's going to give you tons of vitamins and nutrients, and it's so delicious you will not believe it. So I'm gonna do 3/4 of a cup of walnut. I got these raw walnuts at Trader Joe's. So I'm just gonna, do a rough chop on these because I am going to be using my magic bullet instead of a food processor or some kind of a blender. So if you have a high-speed mixer that does pretty well, or blender that does pretty well with blending things like nuts, but not necessarily pulverizing them to a paste, you can go ahead and use those, but I'm going to just rough chop these because that way I won't have to scrape down the sides as much and stop with blending with the magic bullet. If you wanted to use a food processor, you could do that. But you may want to double or triple the recipe because the food processor is a little bigger, so it won't have as much to grab onto. At least mine's bigger. So 3/4 of a cup of raw walnuts. Then you're gonna need a half a teaspoon of ground coriander. So you're gonna see that the ingredients in this recipe are kind of gonna be sort of a taco flavor. So we've got a little bit of the coriander, and then the next, doesn't have to be perfect, and then the next is half a teaspoon of ground cumin. And this is where it really gives that sort of Mexican style flavor. I'm going to also add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder just because I love garlic powder. You don't have to add this in, but I just absolutely love garlic powder. And this is a brand new garlic, so I'm gonna open that up. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and add that in. And I might do, let's see, just under half a teaspoon. Okay, then I'm gonna add a pinch of chili powder. Just a pinch, and then for a little bit of heat, I'm gonna add a dash of cayenne. If you've got kids eating this, you may wanna skip it, but it's up to you. Now we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of liquid aminos, and so you can do soy sauce, you can do tamari. Just keep in mind, if you're trying to do wheat-free, soy sauce has wheat in it a lot of times, and the liquid aminos don't. If you're not doing soy, you could do coconut aminos, that would be fine too. So that's all that's in the walnut meat portion. So we're just gonna blend this up really quick. Not too much, so you're not blending it to a paste. You want it to almost be like a ground, kind of like a ground, I don't wanna say meat recipe, but to where it's not pulverized into a paste. And that's really all it is for the filling. And then we're going to chop up a little bit of, and you can taste it and adjust the flavor if you want. Next thing we're gonna do is chop up about a 1/4 cup of sweet pepper. You can use any color because we're also gonna be adding tomatoes. So I kind of wish I had gotten an orange or a yellow pepper just for the different color, but I was able to find red at the grocery store. So I am just gonna chop them into strips. So you can either leave them in strips if you like, or you can dice them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and dice these. So I chopped into strips, and now I'm gonna tuck my 2 guide fingers and my thumb, and I'm just gonna do a rolling motion as I chop these into nicely diced red pepper. So it's probably a little more than a 1/4 cup. That's okay. I'm going to push that to the side. Now I'm gonna, these tomatoes are little organic grape tomatoes, and I am gonna just chop those probably about the same size as the red peppers. And you can use any type of tomato you like. It would also be cool to do different colored tomatoes, because I know sometimes heirloom tomatoes might be a cool thing to use in this, but you really can use any color. So I'm gonna do about a 1/4 cup of that as well. If you like a lot of veggies in your burritos, you can use, you know, stuff it with as much as you want, but this is gonna be enough for about 3 collard burritos. The other thing is, if you don't want to make your own seasoning, you can use any type of taco seasoning. You don't have to make your own. You might have a taco or a fajita style seasoning would be fine too. So we're doing the bell pepper, a little bit of tomato, and then I've got some green onions from my garden. So I'm gonna chop up, it says 1 green onion, but I've got a whole bunch because I like a lot of onions. So I'm gonna chop up about 5, just because I have a bunch. And these are green onions that I got from, I think it was Misfits Market box. And Misfits Market is a produce delivery service, and they send you kind of imperfect vegetables that are perfectly good on the inside, but might have a blemish on the outside that they couldn't sell at grocery stores. So I got some green onions in my Misfits Market basket, and I just planted the base of them, the little root of them, and now I've got a ton of green onions growing. I'm gonna add some avocado in mine as well, just because I love avocado, and it's just gonna add a little bit of creaminess to it. So I'm just slicing that up. I have half an avocado here. So I'm gonna take my collard greens, which I got from my neighbor, and I'm gonna use my collard greens raw. You can blanch these if you want. And blanching means you're gonna boil some water, and then you're gonna put these in there for about a minute, and then put them in a pot of water filled with ice. So that's called an ice bath. So I'm gonna use these raw because I like the crunch of them. But I'm taking my big collard green here, and I'm cutting out the stem, because when I roll it, not the whole stem, just part of it. So I'm gonna cut out, I don't know if you can see, about this much of the whole collard. And I can even cut out a little bit more if it's having a hard time rolling. So what I'm gonna do is, I've got these 2 legs right here. So I'm gonna put those towards me. I'm just going to stuff a little bit of the walnut mixture, about 1/3, because this makes about 3. Then I'm gonna add some avocado in there, and then I'm going to add some tomato and some of my pepper. It's gonna be, oh my gosh, creamy and flavorful and delicious. And then the onion adds so much flavor, but I like the green onion because it's just kind of a delicate flavor, but you can use any type of onion you want. Okay, so now I'm just gonna roll my 2 legs over here like that, fold in the sides, and I'm doing the lighter side of the collard green on the inside. Fold this side, and then gently roll it so it's like a little package, like that. And that's all you do.